The Falcons and the Patriots. The Patriots win this game, but by the hair on their chinny chin chin, as the saying goes. 24-23 was the final score here. The New England Patriots top 5 graded players that we had here: wide receiver Demario Douglas with a 94.7 overall grade. Safety Jalen Hawkins, who's having a heck of a year, right behind him with a 79.4. Defensive tackle Milton Williams, a 77.0. Edge rusher Harold Landry with a 74.5. Offensive tackle Will Campbell, a 72.1. Drake May in this game, not his best, a 59.1 overall grade. On the Falcons side of things, boy, I said this on Twitter, I don't know if there's any defensive player in the league that would have contained Drake London yesterday. Not to say that he hasn't been contained before in his career, but the way that he was playing yesterday, I don't know if there's a corner that would have gotten the better of Drake London yesterday. A 92.1 overall grade. Defensive tackle Sam Roberts with an 89.7. Edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie with a 78.4. Running back Bijan Robinson, a 76.4. Center Ryan Nuzio with a 73.8, and then Michael Penix Jr. a 58.8. Stat that told the story here, Dalton.
Credit to the Patriots, credit to Josh McDaniels for getting off to a hot start in this game. 21 points scored on 3 of their first 4 drives. 78.7 offensive grade on those first 4 drives and 7.2 yards per play. McDaniels, I thought, called this game really well early, and then Jeff Ulbrich and the Falcons made some nice adjustments to only give up 3 points the rest of the way. You're not going to get, even for as hot as this Patriots offense is and for as good as Drake May has been, you're not going to get 60 minutes of great football every single week. Sometimes it comes in spurts, kind of the same way last week against the Browns, where it was a first half struggle, and then the third quarter they exploded and then cruised the rest of the way. It felt like this hot start from New England in this game really set the tone. Obviously, Michael Penix and Drake London with the furious comeback and the missed extra point from Parker Romo ended up being the difference. But it was the fact that they got ahead early on a Falcons team that wants to run the football, and they didn't get to at their own pace because they were behind early and didn't get to control the pace of the game. From there, New England's defense did just enough to come away with it. New England on offense burned enough time to get out with a 1-point win. But I think the biggest reason they won was just the hot start they got off to. I thought really, again, Josh McDaniels for that stretch called excellent plays. Drake May, not his best day. A couple of fumbles could have, kind of hurt him, especially at the end of the first half. That let the Falcons back in the game. But the hot start to me was the big story as far as the Falcons not being able to run the football when they wanted to and then just digging in from behind the whole game.
I think the Falcons got to feel like they let one get away here because of how they adjusted and how they played in the second half and obviously how the scoreboard was in the end. Dalton, they were 1 for 10 on third down. 1 for 10. And you're still in a situation where you only lost by 1 to the Patriots, given how hot that team is. You got to feel like you played pretty well in this game. And I went and I back and I watched all those third downs. It's just a lot of difficult-looking concepts. It's a lot of, clear out routes, and then one route is really, all you're focusing on. It's not a lot of... It's not a lot of reads. It's not a lot of layered things. There's not a lot of progressions to go to. I just felt as though there was just so many, 2 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers are running verticals, and then somebody's kind of coming underneath, but not really even in a way where they would get a lot of yards after catch. Sometimes it was just a curl route or a hook route that was, maybe at the line of scrimmage or at the sticks or maybe a couple yards ahead of the sticks. And it just didn't feel like the third down game plan was doing Michael Penix any favors. And it felt like there was that hesitation from Michael Penix as well. It felt like he had hesitation to make those really difficult throws, and he just wasn't having as confident of a day as we have seen him have in the past. He had a couple of really nice throws to Drake London, but on those third downs, it just felt like life was really difficult. And the way that the offense was designed and the concepts that he was asked to throw against really weren't giving him a great chance to convert. I think that when you watch some of the better teams in the NFL when it comes to the higher third down conversions, yes, they're calling plays that they go, okay, we're setting this up for this one player to be open so that we can convert this third down. I'm not saying that singular and primary focuses are bad play calls or bad concepts, but on a lot of these, it was it was just a lot of clear out stuff that wasn't really working. It wasn't really putting that much of a threat on the defense. And they were able to rally, especially if those passes were in front of the sticks, and hold the Falcons to punts and not being able to convert on third down. So it just didn't feel like there were a lot of answers for them, and it just felt like life was very difficult on the Falcons on third down. And even if they convert half of those, even if it's Well, half, I guess 50% would be pretty good. So, like, if you're like 3 or 4, maybe this game is different. Maybe you get into field goal range. Maybe you win this game by 2. So it could have been something where that could have been the case.
I think, to me, schematically, they don't have answers because personnel-wise, they don't have answers.
And it's true.
They're
a little limited.
They're extremely thin. Like, here's the impact of Drake London, right? First of all, he misses the game last week against Miami, and their offense goes completely dead, right? Bijan Robinson, obviously maybe the best receiving back in football. Him and Christian McCaffrey, like the 2 best receiving backs in football right now. That's great. Kyle Pitts, I'd call him average, 71 receiving grade. They don't have another wide receiver with a receiving grade above 60. And kind of the way our scale works is that if you're not even hitting a 60 receiving grade, you're pretty much just dysfunctional, right? Because we don't have it, unless you're dropping a boatload of balls, it doesn't get down to the 30s and 40s very often when it comes to like the complete lack of production. First of all, from Darnell Mooney. They're just getting nothing. He doesn't have 200 receiving yards this year. And then you have
he's missed time, but
Casey Washington and some of these other guys that, this Atlanta team, they're so thin. And look, Drake London, we both have him as most impressive because individually he was the best player on the field.
Yeah.
But Darnell Mooney, Casey Washington, Ray McLeod, Kadero Hodge, there's nobody in this passing game. Pitts is okay. Bijan's a matchup problem, and you have to center your offense around him, and Drake London's a beast. But there's nothing else here. They need another receiver in the worst way. I would expect that actually to be a massive focus in the offseason because this team now is 3-5. Had they found a way to win this game, I might sit here and go, this is the team that needs to trade for Jacoby Myers. I go, get somebody in there.
Sure.
Right? At 3-5, I don't know if it's worth it at this point. And to me, and Kyle Pitts in the last year of his contract, right?
I think so.
Right? Didn't they?
Because he's like been on the trade block. I think he is.
I mean, if you trade him away, you're throwing a Drake London or Bijan pretty much every play at that point. But they're short on receivers. Their lack of a second receiver showed in the big loss last week. And then, you can't lose games when Drake London has a day like this. And it was obviously a missed extra point played a big factor in that as well. But, they're so thin offensively that I think even those concepts where we're trying to just work one guy open just to get somebody open, it's because a lot of those other guys, other than London or Bijan, they can't get themselves open.
Yeah.
So you could run, theoretically, to me, you could run a whole lot of man-to-man coverage on this Falcon team. You're going to get what you get from London, but nobody else is really going to beat you.
That's fair. I think it's fair. Yeah, Pitts is in the last year of his deal. Anything else on this one before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Okay.